In this video, I'm going to show you some experiments I'm doing with this $40 Costco ficus. This is just a little teaser. And then, on a different day, what in the world am I doing, you might wonder? Let's start at the beginning. I got it in February of 2023. I paid $40 for it at Costco. They had a whole rack full of these things. In fact, I didn't even pick it. My girlfriend picked it for me. She just snapped it to me and I said, yeah, definitely give me one. So she got me one. So let's talk about what they are. There are a lot of research on Google and ChatGPT. The trunk is actually a Ficus microcarpa, and those branches there are Green Island ficus. You can see just a kind of a straight cut point there at the top. So I'm pretty sure what they do is they're grown in some nursery in Asia, and they just take the young microcarpa, they twist it into this S shape, and then they tie it to a bamboo stick, which I'll show you the bamboo stick scar right there. I had one years ago that actually still had little pieces of the bamboo stick still stuck in it. So it leaves a scar, as you can see. But that's what these are. They've been called ginseng ficus and Ficus retusa and all kinds of things. I myself have gotten it wrong a few times, but I'm fairly certain that's what these are. Ficus microcarpa with Green Island ficus grafted on. Here it is that following August in 2023, so about 6 months later, I trimmed it up and I decided I wanted to try something. I've never really grafted anything before. I've seen a few videos. I gotta admit, I didn't take a ton of time to look at the do's and don'ts, but from what I did see, there's different methods, and this was the method I chose on this day. So I just drilled 2 or 3 holes in it, used some rooting hormone powder, and I had some cuttings of different types of ficus. I just wanted to see if I could do it. Like I had some tiger bark ficus and some Ficus benjamina. I also tried this method where you make kind of a little cut in it like so. And then you slip a cutting right into that. Like that. And there we go. So I had about 3 of them that I tried. Apparently I should have done more research on grafting, because all 3 of them died. So that one was a failed experiment. I'm sure somebody out there who's better at grafting could get that done. But that's okay, because I realized there was something else I wanted to do with this, really. The more I looked at it, and I did look at it for a while, here it is the following year, I realized it's just too tall. And air layering is something that I've had a lot of success with, especially with ficus. So I'm starting to think in that direction. But first I'm going to trim this up. And I'll point out the difference in leaves. You might have already noticed it. There's the Ficus microcarpa leaf. So it still sprouts out those native leaves from the trunk. Compare that to these, the Green Island ficus leaves. So you can see the first set versus that set. The Green Island ficus leaves that they graft on really are kind of nicer. They're denser, more compact, less scraggly and long, shorter internodes. So I can see why they do it. Unfortunately, all of those Green Island ficus branches are at the top. So if I do air layer this, which I'm going to do here in June of 25, all of those Green Island ficus branches are going to be on the top half. Not the end of the world. So I'm looking for the spot to do the air layer. I'm thinking right above there, right there. So if this is successful, I'll get 2 really nice trees out of it. With really thick trunks, considering it was only $40 at Costco. So I'm going to mark the spot here. And for anybody who's not familiar with an air layer or how to do it or what it is, it's basically where you just strip off the bark about an inch or so all the way around the trunk. So you score it all the way around, strip off about an inch of bark. And then you wrap it in either sphagnum moss or cocoa peat and plastic, and then it forms new roots at the cut spot right there. This gave me a little bit of a challenge though, something I didn't think about. This scar where the bamboo stick was, it's kind of hard to get the knife in there. So I did the best I could. But the whole point of air layering is you're cutting off its ability to send nutrients from the leaves down to the roots, which is what causes it to form new roots at the cut spot. So I'm hoping for the best. I put some plastic around it. I'm using some cocoa peat in this particular case because it's a little more available, and I've had good luck with it. Kind of goopy, gross stuff, but you know, gross in a naturally gross way. Cocoa fiber is another thing it's called. You just want to get enough in there. You want to get it all the way around. No air bubbles, nothing like that. Squeeze out all the excess moisture. I'm using zip ties. I've used wires and zip ties and all kinds of different things, string. But I'm using zip ties because they're reliable. Poke some drainage holes in there. This way water can still get in from the top and drain out of the bottom. Otherwise it will get stagnant in there and just the top half will just die. Nice and tight, no air pockets. And now I just hope for the best. Fast forward almost 2 months, not quite, but almost. It's grown out a lot and on top, which is a good sign. If it's got new growth above the air layer, it typically means that the air layer is rooting and working. I would usually have liked to give it more time though. However, I decided I'm going to give this top half as a wedding gift to someone. So their wedding is in early September, and it was a weird timing thing. I wanted to make sure that it was established in its pot, assuming this works, in time for me to give it to them as a wedding gift. So I don't give them a tree that's, 2 steps away from being dead. So first I give it a really rough prune just so I can see in there better. And let's see if we can see any roots. There's one. There's one over there. It's kind of hard to tell. It's like a cloudy colored plastic, so it's not super clear. You're looking from the top, you can actually kind of see one. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see a root there. The other reason I felt okay doing this now, there's a big root, is because there's still enough time left in the growing season. And ficus, you can do this right in the middle of the growing season. If it was the end of the growing season, I'd be a little weary doing it, because then it would have to rely on those little roots. There's the pot I'm going with. So the big reveal, gonna take the plastic off. Trying to do this without destroying it, just in case I look in there and it was an optical illusion and it's not a root after all. I've had that happen. Get rid of the rest of these wires here. And forgotten about these little little thin metal wires that I use to wire up the bottom part of this. So here we go. So one piece of bad luck right off the bat, big chunk of the cocoa fiber came loose with roots in it. So rip the root, and there's another one. It's just falling off. I'm starting to second guess it for a minute until I look closer and I see, okay, there are some roots. I don't like losing the ones I just lost, but gotta break a few eggs to make an omelet, I guess. I bought this saw actually that morning at a garage sale for $1 for this exact purpose. Unfortunately, it was just a little too tight to get in there. I couldn't, so I had this other saw. I bought it also for $1 at a garage sale that morning. And in the end, I just went with the power saw that I already had because it was wobbling around all over the place. So off goes the top. There it is. That will make a nice little bonsai. And then the bottom part, we can repot that into a bonsai pot as well. So 2 really nice bonsais for $40 from Costco. So now I'm going to be super careful here with this root situation, considering chunks just fell off earlier. There's a couple of old branches, or what were branches in there. And I feel like these branches off to the right are a little too low, considering where those roots are. So I get rid of those. Trying so hard to be careful with what roots are left. Ideally, like I said, you would want more roots than this before you harvest an air layer. So I'm taking a little bit of a gamble here. But aftercare is going to be key. I'm just going to be sure to keep it in a mostly shaded spot. Make sure it does not dry out at all. And just keep a really close eye on it. If I start to see any signs of stress, I'll move it to an even shadier spot. Get some soil in there. That's just my normal mix. Volcanic rock, perlite, a little bit of pine bark, and pumice. Kind of carefully work the soil in. There's not many roots to work them into, but I want to make sure I don't want it to be super loose. I want to make sure it's pretty secure in there. And so far, I'm really happy with how this is going. This plan that I've been kind of holding in the back of my head since I got this in February of 23 is finally coming to fruition. Probably make a couple of strategic cuts here of branches. First, I went and gave it a good rinse, watered it thoroughly. Pretty much water it until it runs clear underneath. It's that branch there that I think is just not going to make the cut. I snip at it at first thinking, will it make the final design? I don't want to cut the whole thing off if, maybe it just needs to be shorter. But the more I got in there, the more I realized I don't think it's going to make the cut. It's just too low. Kind of in an awkward spot. If you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know that when I'm unsure, I go in sort of cautiously. I don't go in guns a-blazing. I used to do that. Then you end up with regret cuts, where afterwards you're like, oh man, what did I do? You see, I'm trying to make it work there. Thinking maybe we'll do some of that. And I end up leaving just a little bit. Make a few other strategic cuts. And all I'm doing really is I'm kind of shortening it a little bit. Shortening the branches. And I put a couple stability rocks in there just to help hold it in place. And I'm pretty happy with this. I think it turned out well. It's going to make a great wedding gift. I know that the bride and groom love this particular type of tree. They've noticed a couple others like this on my benches before, so I think it's going to work out great. So the top half so far is a success. This was 1 week ago today, and I just looked at it an hour ago, and it's still looking great. Now, the bottom half. Technically, it's not only a different tree now, it's a different type of tree. This is a Ficus microcarpa. So the leaves are going to look different. The branches are going to look different. That's the pot I'm going with. It's been in this pot since I got it, although I did at one point just switch out the soil pretty much right off the bat. But I have no idea what to expect here on the root system. I didn't video when I did that or anything, so I don't remember. It's got a decent amount of roots, although it's a little messy. I would have thought there would be more after this amount of time, but so I'm looking at it, trying to figure out what to do. And I hone in on the culprit right there. It's that middle, there's like a middle root right there in the middle, and it's not really contributing much. So off it goes. The goal here is I want the roots all go out radially and not have one going from the middle crossing out to a different side or anything like that. There's some dead, well, actually doesn't look dead, but it appeared dead at the time. Pieces of bark. It's almost like the trunk kind of hollowed out a little bit from being under the soil for a while. So once I chip away at this and get the root situation in a place where I think it's ready, there's another one that's kind of crossed over, so I'm going to get rid of that. And then we'll just shorten up some of these kind of longer roots. This one is actually going to be a better example of a typical repotting of a bonsai tree. The first one had just a few roots as an air layer. But this is a little more close to what you would want to do, where you want to root prune, select the ones that will go out radially, get rid of the ones that do not. Same soil mix. I think I chipped away at it just a little more off camera. I'm going to find a front view of the pot that doesn't have any chips in it or anything or imperfections. I think that looks good. And the same thing, I'll just put soil in all around it. I first kind of gently work the soil down to a spot where it's sort of stable. This has more roots than the last one, so I use a chopstick to work the roots, work the soil into the roots. You don't want air pockets or anything in there. And then once I get it to a spot where I feel like it's good to go, I go outside, thoroughly water it. Same thing as the last one. I just water it until it runs clear. Put some rocks in there for stability. And I'm pretty happy with this one too. In fact, I'm really happy. I'm happy with both of them. Considering what it looked like when I first got it, which wasn't bad, it just looked like a typical big box store ficus. Now they're both on their way to being actual bonsai trees. I'll do more branch selection later after this grows out fully and regains its health. But for now, I'm actually very happy with it. I'm very happy with the last one. And that's what I did for now. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. Have a good rest of your day.